Good evening, everybody. It's good to be here once again. Let me just turn this off. I'm trying to work with the system here, and it's going back on again. See, yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to stop that music. There we go. Trying to get better at controlling that music. For some reason, I like to play in a loop for some odd reason. All right, welcome back. It's Saturday night. Um, it's great to be here once again, as always. And Good evening, brother Jorge. It's great to see you once again. Good to see you around. Um, So I changed the title of this. Now I've got my glasses back on, but so I can see. But I changed the title of the Saturday night title for. I can really get my words out because I'm coming up with a title every week of what we might talk about. And the whole idea of creating this BAC network is for everybody to talk about things and just born again Christians coming together and having a conversation. So I think that's what we'll do from now on. It's just really a night of just fellowship, hanging out. I don't know what the better terminology for that is. Exhorting one another and just talking about our weeks and what we're dealing with and what we're going through. Because again, this live stream is not about me. I keep on trying to say that. I did not want this to be about me. I want it to be about everybody else because we are supposed to be serving others, and that's the whole point of doing this. So from now on, that's what I think this will be. Instead of me trying to come up with the title or come up with a topic, I'll save my topics and ideas for the Sunday night studies and the midweek podcast, stuff like that. And here it's just hanging out. Excuse me. Good evening, Prof. Cal. So that's what we're going to do. So with that being said, Brother Jorge, how has your week been this week? You did mention that snowstorm in Mexico. I did look that briefly up earlier today. So they got some snow over there. But New Mexico does get snow. I think they have mountains over there. So they do get a decent amount of snow. However, here, thankfully, it was, I don't even know, I think it was 70s here in Tennessee. Pretty sure it was in the low 70s, if not a little bit higher. At one point this afternoon, it was pretty hot. I was sitting out on the back deck, and the sun was like burning on my face as I was talking to my father out on the back deck. But the weather's been nice. Kind of the whole reason. Well, there's many reasons, but one of the greatest reasons to move to Tennessee is, well, it's just warmer down here. So I like the warmth. I enjoy this type of weather. I do not miss winter. Don't miss it at all. It was fun for a while, but as I've gotten older, it's not as fun as it once was. So I'll take down here. I'll work with that. But yeah, it's been a heck of a week. Brother Jorge, I was just at the actually I might have already told you before. I went to the silver store, the coin store, and I was showing my wife, but I thought it was pretty cool. And I came. Week's going great. I'll be home for Veterans Day with the kids. Hey, it's funny? I have no idea if I'm working Veterans Day or not. I never even checked. I just assumed I am. I probably should look into that. I'll probably text one of the other drivers and find out if we're working on Veterans Day. I know that we have Thanksgiving off, but I thought I found this pretty cool piece of silver at the coin store. And it's Noah's Ark. I don't know if I can get that in the camera, but yeah, that's not. It's coming in pretty blurry there. But man, that's a shame. Yeah. But anyways, it's a Noah's Ark one on silver round. It says 2x2. I had to get it when I saw it. I had to get it. I'm like, you kidding me? That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know if I'm working Veterans Day. I know we have Thanksgiving off and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. I know you enjoy your job where you're going right now. That's fantastic. You enjoy where you're at. You work. You've been working. You've been. I'm hoping you get that carpenter in. That'd be great if you do get that carpenter in. What mint? Hold on. What mint? I know Scottsdale likes to make a lot of those type of rounds. Do they? I'm not familiar. I've heard of them. I don't see a mint on here. Yeah, I don't see anything on here, which was interesting. Tested it while I was there to work, but I'm not sure what mint it is. And with my blind eyes, I have no idea. But fantastic piece. I don't know. I'll have next time I'm at the coin store. Maybe I'll stop in there during the week and ask him what actual mint that is. But I thought that was pretty cool. Anytime you can get a little silver piece that's got Noah's Ark on it, I'm in. I know a friend of mine has one that has a brother in Christ has a Lion of Judah, I think it is, or something like that. He had gotten somewhere, which was pretty good. Or it was Haggai. No, it was a Haggai. I forget what it is. But I know the carpenter. So did you end up getting a carpenter in, or have you heard any word from that? I'm pretty excited for you, brother, because you've gotten a position that you're in at that place, wherever you're working. I don't know who you work for, but the fact that you're happier now in that location and the surroundings are better, I'm just super excited for you, man. That's just great. And less of the vulgar language going on, stuff like that. That's awesome. I think that's great. I mean, when you can get into a position that's worthwhile, that can be helpful, and you can be helpful to others. I know, I've been thanking the Lord for the blessings of my job. My job is a little different. It's I sometimes feel like the job's not worth doing it. It drives me nuts. But then I will be having a carpenter working with me. I am the site superintendent, but I don't like to brag. Hey, you worked your way up there, buddy. You've gone through enough where now you're up to that level. Hopefully that carpenter that comes along in that they're open and receptive to the Word of God, and perhaps some witnessing. That would be fantastic. That's why I like my job, driving around. We get to witness it all the time. Well, this job for me, I mean, the one thing I'll tell you is great is every morning before we get on the road, I get to do prayer. We start the day out before the road on prayer. So that is fantastic to be in a location where you can lead prayer before you head on the road. I mean, that's good stuff. Now, I'm not going to say everybody's a perfect Christian at this location, but it's better than the location I was at. So I'll take that. I'll go from the heavy metal music to the gospel music on the radio in the background. So it's fine by me. But again, we have to be in the world anyways. We're supposed to be in the world. We're supposed to be out there, and we're supposed to be a light to shine people. Kind of hard to shine your light if you're in your basement, or in your backyard, or you just sit at home. It's kind of hard to shine a light. We need to be working out there, and to be able, and the great thing of being out there all the time. I can't answer for you, Jorge, but for me, because I drive, I get to talk to many people along the way. Some are not very fruitful conversations, and others are fruitful conversations. So, in fact, one of the folks on my route, as soon as I see him, I'm going to definitely be stepping up the game and witnessing to him. I've talked a little to him, but he's I'm not gonna. He's got health issues, and if you know what I do, you will, Brother Jorge. You know what I do for a living, so you know I deal with a lot of people with issues, breathing issues, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping to talk to him again. But the opportunity to be out there all the time. I mean, I'll tell you, and I think I was saying this before. And I think, Brother Jorge, you can attest to this, and you can agree with me on this one. Well, you don't have to. I'm not a dictator. But sometimes your work ethic, sometimes how you are on the job, shines a light and witnesses before you even have to speak a word, which is amazing. Because sometimes there's a lot of people, they like to talk all the time, but they don't show that light. They don't show love and kindness and patience, humility, and what we should be showing as a light. So I think that's hugely important. So I'm happy. I thought something popped up there and didn't. So I think that's exciting to be able to be in that position. If you can help people breathe, it's a pretty awesome thing. And to bring the gospel and keep dropping tracks wherever you can, whatever gas station I stop at. Whether it be Weigel's, that's the popular one down here is Weigel's. But this week has been, I was able to talked with one lady. Her mother was going to hospice, or went into hospice, and has been basically given a couple months to live. Um, so I spoke with her a little bit, and we talked about things, and I talked about faith, and um, I was taking a different angle of how I talked to her, because I noticed in her house they had a combination of a couple of scriptures on the wall and crosses, and then Indian stuff on the other wall. So kind of there's a really messed up mixture of things there. So I get to talk to her a little bit and talk to her about God and having faith, and being able to, the best way to get through these things is Jesus. I mean, he is definitely the only way we can understand these things, get through these things. Sometimes we think we can do it on our own, but we cannot. So we talked a little bit about that. Not too much of it, but I felt it was more important to listen to her talk about things, and sometimes it's listening too. I mean, we oftentimes want to just talk, and believe me, I'm good at talking. If anybody knows me, they know I'm good at talking. I don't mind. Sometimes I don't shut up and I ramble on. But there are times when you have to just listen to somebody else, and let them talk, and to get things off of them. And then that gives you the opportunity for them to be more receptive, to listen to you as you witness. Now, witnessing can look differently. It's a different approach. There is not a one size fits all. I know some people think there is, but there's not. You have to discern that person. You have to understand that person. I remember years ago I was teaching some people on the cash register at the front of the store, and I said, "You've got like 10." And I may have told the story before. I says, "You got like 10 seconds to look at that person and figure out anything about them in that one moment, to make that a great experience and create a relationship that may be fruitful down the road the next time you see them." And I feel the same way in witnessing. You may have a great success on your first time witnessing to someone, and you may not have a lot, but if you can create a moment of relationship that you haven't turned them off, and they're receptive, and the next time you see them, it may work. That's why I usually, if I'm at a gas station or something like that, and I've struck up a conversation with someone who was receptive, I will make sure I go to that gas station. If I need a bottle of water, or if I'm getting gas for my truck, I'll try to hit that gas station, and try to have another conversation with that person. I think some people think if they don't save someone or bring someone to the Lord, the very first moment they meet them, in the first 2 minutes, it's been a complete failure, or they're just terrible people because they should have listened, and you could have done all these kinds of things. It's not that way. Witnessing is different. It's just, you have to understand the situation you're in. You have to analyze the situation you're in. Anytime you deliver somewhere, now I'm talking all about what I do, but when I go to a patient's house, a new patient's house, first thing I'm doing is I'm looking at everything as I walk up the driveway, everything I walk up the walkway, the porch, and when I'm in the house, I'm looking around me, and analyzing everything around me, and then using things that I can to create a conversation. There might be something in there I know, or complimenting someone on something that's complimenting, like, "Oh, that's a wonderful couch," or "It's a wonderful flower vase. That's whatever, maybe it's a wonderful entry to your home. It's very clean in here." All of those things can create an open door. May not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it could be a week or a month from now. But you create an opportunity down the road. You create a relationship that could be fruitful. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work every single time, and then, they might love your compliments and are very thankful, but they may never be receptive to the gospel at all. And we know we can't get everybody to turn to the Lord. If that was a case, wouldn't it be nice if we can get everybody the King James Bible and everybody is a Christian? I'm like, that'd be great. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. It'd be nice, but shouldn't stop you from trying. It shouldn't stop you from making the attempt and being persistent at those things. But that's how I do things. I know you, brother Jorge, you usually sometimes, I think you're now leaving them at gas stations. I think sometimes, I think you were. I might have been talking to somebody else, but somebody else, I apologize. Got to drink my water, got to keep hydrated. But there are a lot of things we can do in that situation, um, so I wasn't going to talk about the next subject. I wasn't really bring it up, but I was talking to someone I used to work with texted me, and that they might even watch this video. I don't know, but they were texting me and talking about the election. Now, I'm not going to get deep into this whole election. 1,000 people do it. It's great stuff. It's great clickbait and great to get people to watch a channel and stuff like that. But he texted me. He says, "Whoever wins, I hope it's God's will." And I told him, I said, the most important thing is to keep your eyes on Jesus. That's it. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Stay focused. Stay in the Bible. Be born again. That's it, man. If you are in the Bible, if you're living for God, things will work out for you. You may not have a perfect life, but you will certainly have a perfect eternity. I said, don't worry so much who's president. Yeah, there'll be some hard times with Trump and or with Kamala Hussein. It's going to be two different crazy directions. But we need not to focus on those things. We need to focus on the Bible, focus on God, focus on our children if we have them, focus on our immediate family. That's what we need to worry about. And don't worry about all that other stuff. Just focus. If you trust in God, you're going to be okay. No, you're not going to be the richest man on earth or richest woman on earth unless you're Joel Osteen and Kenneth Copeland, but they don't trust in God, so they don't count. That's all that matters. Stay in the Word. That's it. And just keep moving forward. Don't worry about what the government's doing. I mean, keep an eye on it. Yes, I like to keep an eye on the Fed. I like to keep an eye on precious metals. I'll pay a little bit of attention to politics. I'll just keep an eye on it and see what's going on, or I'll see it pop up in my news feed or anything like that. I'm like, okay, cool. But at the end of the day, doesn't matter who is ever going to be in office. Doesn't. I know that Trump is the big evangelical Catholic Christian choice, and they're happy as all can be, but I don't care. I honestly don't care. Yes, we'll have a turnaround in the economy a little bit. The stock market will do a little bit better as it did the first 2 days. But I'm not worried about any of that. I'm not worried about it. See, I'm saved. And Brother Jorge, you're saved. We're going to be okay. We just keep moving forward. We just do the best we can. We thank God for all the things we have. Well, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Whether you got, ramen noodles on your table, it's still food. We look at the Depression. They had, they eat potato cakes. I'm not making fun of potato cakes. I'm just saying. Of course, I just had potato cakes for the first time, I think, maybe a year or two ago. I don't know, a few years ago. I don't know. Whenever my wife made them. It's interesting. It's edible, but, that's the other thing. We have, it's crazy how this world is today. We have more ability to be prepared for all things that are going to come down the line with being off the grid, on the grid, and all this electricity and having ability to stockpile food. But yet less people are prepared now than ever before. And it's like, wait a minute, no, millions of people are, no, look at the percentage. It's just like people who buy precious metals or constitutional silver or things like that. But there's all these YouTube channels, but take that on a percentage of a whole of how many people in this world. Not a lot of people are prepared. And I'm not saying I'm the greatest one prepared. We keep preparing. We keep on adding, keep on preparing. And I tell people as a Christian, we're not preparing for the end of the world. We're not preparing for, the zombie apocalypse. like them dead walking TV shows or something. Walking Dead, I think it's called. That's all stupid. It's all demonic, evil, stupid stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. The grid might go down. Remember COVID? You couldn't even go to the store in some states. We're supposed to be prepared. I know I'm working on a study that'll be coming out in probably another month. I've got a lot of studies like coming out line back to back about a biblical way of preparedness and how we do it, and talking about those things. Joseph, obviously being the most popular one we can use as an example as a prepper, being 7 years. But I'm not worried. And brothers and sisters out there, you shouldn't be worried. You get mad and, oh, look what the Democrats doing. What is God doing for you? That's the important thing. You're going to be fine. You're going to make it. Don't fret about these things. It's all stuff. It's all stuff. Just keep focused. Keep in the word. You're going to be all right. A lot of people they get all worried. Even the Christians out there, the mainstream Christians. Finally, the Savior, he's in. Trump, the Savior, is it? How does that make a difference? Yeah, maybe he'll go do that border and stuff like that. Sure, he might even fix the whole food grocery thing. But he's not going to fix everything. And the most important thing is he can't fix you. God can. Turn your life over to him, and that's what works. That's the true success. You want an economy, the most booming economy that's most important for the born-again Christian is the fact that somehow every week, every month, you pay your bills. And you get by. Maybe you got to stretch this, maybe you got to stretch that, but you get by. You don't know how. You're like, oh, wow, we made it through this month. Okay. All right, we did all right. Don't know how we pulled that off, but we did. I mean, but you don't know. You know that you didn't buy this and you ate that instead of this and things like that. But you made it through. And I know there's a lot of people that are going through a lot of hard times. There are even single mothers out there and even single fathers and stuff like that. And believe it or not, there are single mothers and single fathers that are born-again Christians. Although some people will say, no, they're not, and they're sinners because they're not married. But you don't know their circumstances. You don't know what happened in their lives. You don't know how they got to that situation. So, yes, I'm not going to use the term, who are you to judge? But who are you to judge something you have no knowledge of? And that is the important thing. Circumstances happen. Biblical divorces, all that stuff happens down the road. I wish it didn't. I wish none of us have ever been. Have you been divorced or anything like that? I wish it never happened. I wish those things never happened. But instead of, what's the old saying, crying over spilled milk, you keep going forward. While others may condemn you, God does not. That is the most important thing. I believe zombies are just a way to blaspheme the resurrection, just like in Matthew 27. You'll have to hit me with the exact verse in 27. I'll turn to 27 now. But yeah, that's just all demonic activity. Matthew 27. Let me get to Matthew 27 to see what verse you're referring to. I don't know off the top of my head. But we need to not worry about these things. We're going to be fine. Too many people are just panicking. Don't panic. I was never concerned. You can ask my wife. I was never concerned who was going to be president. I never cared. I didn't get all ramped up with the Trump things and stuff like that. I never cared. Would one be better than the other for the economy and one for this and one for that? Sure. But both of them are going to just lead you straight to a bad place anyways. One's going to just let the Vatican run our country, and the other one's just going to bring all the socialists and communists. So those are choices. 52. All right. Thank you, brother. 52. I have, unfortunately, my big Bible, but the small print. And me being blind as can be. 52. Did you put it up on here? And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. There you go. Nicely done, brother. Amen. Nicely. That's good memory on that one. I didn't remember that verse. Makes me a bad Christian. I didn't remember that verse. I was watching. I don't sidetrack. I was watching something, and no, I was listening. I was listening to a local radio station down here, and down the south. Anybody from the south knows there's just a billion gospel radio stations down here, and it was an AM station, and he was talking about memorizing. He said, good Christians will memorize all their scriptures. I'm like, good Christians will memorize all their scriptures. Okay, that's interesting. I thought that was rather interesting because I'm thinking to myself, all right, tell that to an 80-year-old man who's got dementia. I guess he doesn't remember the scriptures. Although I've heard some people can remember scriptures at that age. Not everybody's blessed with an amazing memory. I wish I had an amazing memory. I got to go back and find something. I'll remember kind of where it is, and I'm like, I think it's over here. Then I'll find it. But we need to not be concerned of these things. We get so ramped up. We get ramped up in politics. We get ramped up in even in the brethren. We get ramped up when we don't like something somebody says. We get ramped. It's ridiculousness. It really is. We get sucked into the vortex of arguing with brothers and sisters that we shouldn't be. We get sucked into the vortex of oh man, Trump's going to change the world, and he's now finally Christians will have freedom. No, they won't. Show me the Bible where it says in the end days that Christians are going to have freedom. It's not there. It's just not going to happen. Now, I know people who love Trump are going to say, oh, how could you say something? He's a better president. Okay, he is a better president for one thing, but he's not for another thing. That's just the way it is. If we're relying on political figures to give us our freedom, then we're not believing and trusting in the Lord and the Bible. Because that's where your true freedom comes from. I have freedom. I don't think, I don't see bad things happening to me in a certain way. No, I don't ever feel persecuted. Just because somebody might call me a name, I'm not persecuted. And that's another thing we got to stop. That's a whole different study. But this whole persecution thing has got to stop. Well, I got a bad knee, so, I'm being persecuted. Somebody left a negative comment on my YouTube channel. I'm being persecuted. Somebody said something on Twitter about me. I'm being persecuted. Well, I'm sorry, it's not Twitter anymore. It's X. That's not persecution. And when we today, when these minor things happen to us, I really believe we're spitting in the face of those in the Bible, Peter, Paul, that faced persecution, real persecution. And even some today in different countries who face real persecution. That has to stop. It really does. If we spend more time in the Bible and less time worrying about people talking about us, less worried about gossip, less worried about who's running the country, less worried about all those things, I'm telling you, be a happy person. You really will. And I know sometimes it can be easy to get sucked into that vortex because when you feel, sorry about that, I kicked my little thing over here. Such a violent person. I kicked my draw system over here. We have to look around us, and especially if you're a parent, no matter how old your kids are, you have a wonderful child or children. Maybe you got a husband, maybe you got a wife, maybe you don't. But we have to look at all those things in our lives that God has blessed us with. The Lord has blessed us with things that we don't even acknowledge, that we actually take for granted. Because we're always worried about so much stuff. And then, you can go down the rabbit trails on YouTube and this and that. I wouldn't worry about it. We go through our weeks. We go day by day in a daily walk. And I'm telling you, you want to be a real peculiar person. That's it. That's a peculiar person. Being on YouTube doesn't so much make you a peculiar person. Yes, I know I'm on YouTube, but it doesn't make me peculiar. It doesn't make me so much different. You know, I was once listening to someone who was going on and on and on about the evils of the internet, and which, by the way, I agree. Don't get me wrong, and the evil of the internet, and then this is my interesting one, and how evil YouTube is, and it's run by demonic devils. Then why do you have a channel on YouTube then? And he just went on and on and on. I'm like, okay. And I'm agreeing with you that it's not run by good people. Now that'll probably get banned now. I have a history of being banned. I love it. But we get caught up in so much. I know I'm repeating myself, but man, you look around, you're like, people, take a step back. What's going on? Philip Newton, Brother Jorge, I was telling you about him before. Watched a little bit of stuff. He's fine, but he did a video, a long video. I don't know if he's watching, man, or ever does watch this channel, but it was long. It takes a lot to get through. Good stuff. It was good stuff, but it was just long. And for someone who talks a lot, it was long for me. So I just put that on my radio or my phone radio Bluetooth thing there while I'm driving, so I can listen to it. But man, even you're talking about the waxing, it's like the brethren have gone cold, and he's absolutely correct. There are infiltrators in the King James movement who are just creating strife and division and hatred and malice and bitterness. And I find today that the Christians on YouTube are, strangely enough, exactly like the people in the church buildings that they preach against. And the King James movement, a lot of people refer to as the Babel buildings. Excuse me, not a bad name. It's a pretty cool name. But they start to exhibit the same characteristics of the Babel buildings, yet they speak against, which is a little weird, isn't it? I find that ironic. If you engage in the same slander, the same gossip, the same narcissism and stuff like that, you are pretty much just like So one could say that person or persons are hypocrites, a minister or ministries or whatever, whoever it may be. And there's a lot of them out there. It's not like one or two or three. There's multiples out there. So, I mean, the beauty of the YouTube is an avenue to spread the gospel. The bad thing about the YouTube is there's a lot of false people telling lies. So that's the bad thing. But that's when discernment comes into place. I think if you follow, the greatest way to have better discernment is to follow the Bible, especially the New Testament. Obviously, we're in New Testament living. We live the New Testament. As I said before, the Old Testament is basically like the foundation of the house of which is the New Testament. But if you live that and you read that and you really follow it, don't get sidetracked. If you follow it, you'll have a greater discernment of those who seem to be preaching and teaching it, but actually not following it. That's key, because you can look at something and go, wait a second, I don't think he lines up here. I was going to say or she, but it's not supposed to be a she. Nowhere in Scripture. Don't give me no Diana. Don't give me that in Judges, because that's easily debunked. Brother Jorge, I think you had a great debunking of that. Don't give me that nonsense. The Priscilla of Aquila. Oh my goodness. Please actually read that and understand the context, time frame. Take it all in. But that's what happens. They take a verse and they go, bam, that's it. No, that's not it. And it's unfortunate. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. What was it 118 passages? Oh, I can't remember the number when it came to all that. But did a whole 7-part series on that. And it doesn't water. And here's another thing. See, it's a free form. That's why I wanted the Saturday night for us to talk about whatever we wanted to talk about. And as more people join in, I want you to interrupt me at any time and talk yourselves, because it's about all of us. It's about the brothers and sisters in Christ. It's not about me. It's not about just Jorge. Or just Prov Gal. It's about everyone. And I think that gets lost very often, and unfortunate. But I think people need to understand the difference between preaching and witnessing. And very often people are making them the same. Yes, you can make them the same, but understand the context of how you're making them the same. That's the issue. When I talk about preaching and witnessing and spreading the gospel, I have never once said, for especially women, that they can't spread the gospel or witness. Never have I once said that. Never will say that. But I will say in the context of the time how they should be doing it. And that is with women, with other women. When you're with women, if you're a woman going to the store, like I'll just use my wife because, well, she's my wife. She goes into the store, whether it be Aldi's or wherever it may be, and there's a young lady there that she just feels like she should witness to. She should. She should share the gospel with her. There's nothing wrong with that. One bit. There's nothing wrong with it one bit. And I've never been opposed to it. Never will be opposed to it. Now, preaching, you get on these YouTube channels or get behind a pulpit and you want to start preaching. Well, you're preaching to more than women. You're preaching to just also men. Well, now you're in a situation where you're not supposed to be there. Well, I'm trying to only preach to women, but you're preaching to men as well. So that's a no-go. And witnessing to men, nope. I'm firmly against that as well. Firmly against that as well. I just, and I believe another man shouldn't even touch your wife. No hugging them. You shake their hand. That's the way it should be. You want to get real honest about it, because another man should not touch your woman, and another woman should not touch your man. That is just to me, it seems pretty obvious. I mean, I don't know how you go back, just trying to keep my words together, but they're not to be witnesses. And don't give me the whole Mary was a witness. Please look at the grammar, understand commas, colons, semicolons, separations of sentences. You don't have to know Greek and Hebrew to know that, to know who's supposed to go out there and spread the gospel. It is men. That is our duty. Men and women have two roles. It's just that simple. Now, my wife does the some sort of Christian homeschool group thing there. So she's with the woman and talking about God, great. Or if she's a Christian who's not really like all the way where she's supposed to be, she can witness to her. She can spread the gospel. There's nothing wrong with that. But for women to just go up to guys on the street, no, that's crazy. I can't see it. It just makes no sense to me. When you read the Bible, you cannot. You can take scriptures and try to rip them out of context. Absolutely. I think I harped on that long enough. Because I feel bad. There's a lot of women in this world that nowadays have been fooled by mainstream Christianity, because that's really who is really okay with this. Mainstream Christians are the main ones, evangelical. If you're King James Bible, you shouldn't be doing it, because then you're just being just like you're not a peculiar person, because you're just following mainstream Christianity. You're just doing what they're doing, the same thing. But a lot of women have been sold a lie that they have to do this. And I wonder, why are you not spending time raising your children? Why are you not spending time preparing meals for your family? And I don't mean go get a hungry man dinner. Now, I'm not saying Some women, like I said, are single mothers, and it's different. They throw quicker food. It's Kraft macaroni and cheese in a box. They wish they didn't have to do that, but that's where they're at. Not condemning them whatsoever. Not at all. But if you're married to a man and you have children and you're a King James wife, that's your role. You take care of your family. That's the only thing you should be doing. The man should be preaching and working. That's all there is to it. You can call me a sexist. To me, that just shows a little bit of ignorance on your part, or just a lack of knowledge from the Bible. And I feel like it's just a disservice to women when you say, no, you have to do these things. You have to go out there. You have to go out there. No. You have to raise your family. You have to rear your children. I mean, we want to be just like the old days, which is hilarious, by the way. So you have women and husbands who are King James people. They want to be the old ways. Only very few King James women do this, but mainstream Christianity, they want to get back to the old school. Well, then the old school means you stay at home, you rear your children, you spend pretty much all day cleaning, you spend all day cooking because you make food by hand. That's what you do. You're not going out on the streets witnessing, making Rumble videos and YouTube videos. And so if you want to go old school, then that would be old school. Unless you want to pretend to be old school, well, that's different. I think it's mean. I think you disrespect Christian women, or disrespect women when you tell them they're supposed to do these things. No, they're supposed to be they're supposed to be at home. I don't know how obvious it can be, but I think it's a selfish thing on some folks' parts when they want to do things like that. And it's unfortunate because and it's mostly, like I said, mainstream. You have some Baptist churches that do that. Not a lot. You find the more modern Mennonites are like that, but the hardcore Mennonites are not like that. The Amish, well, it's a whole different yikes. But anyways, I'm like, that's my stance on that. The Bible. I love the Bible, and we should follow the Bible. And the Bible tells us the roles of men and women. It's laid out. It's not hard. It's not difficult to figure out. But what happens is our selfishness and our pride, and this now is going to both men and women, the selfishness and pride enters in, and then we want. It's what we want, what we feel we should do. Well, I don't care what I feel like I should do. I care what the Bible tells me I'm supposed to do. That's the difference. I have incredible more respect for women, good born again Christian saved women who do what they do, and like my wife, who stays at home, who takes care of the children, who takes care, even taking care of my father. My father I think he's only got a year left. I thought he had a year left last year, but it's getting progressively worse. And we're supposed to take care of our elderly, even though my father and I don't see eye to eye. I'm going to be doing a study on that. We don't see eye to eye on all things, but my duty is to take care of my father. That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do, even though my wife does most of that. But she has an incredible responsibility. So a woman in a household, rearing children, taking care of the family, taking care of the house, they have more responsibility and work than a guy does, going out preaching and going to work every day. And I sometimes find that we have it easy. Like these corporate women. I'm going to go off the track again. They can shut it off. They're like, okay, I'm done. Well, a real biblical mother and wife can never shut it off. They can never shut it off. And if they do shut it off, we've got problems. Yeah, a father can be there for their kids as well, and they can be there, but their father is a role model in a different way than the mother is. That has to be understood. Look at, what was it, Eunice, Timothy's mom or grandmother? Lois, had a great influence on his life. And see, that means women can be witnesses. Somebody actually once said that. They were witnessing to Timothy. No, they weren't. They were raising Timothy. It's family. They're rearing them, teaching them. Oh, man. But we want to jumble all these things together and make it some mass confusion, you know, and rightly dividing the truth, rightly dividing the context, rightly dividing that by itself. Just dropped my work phone. Hopefully, by the way, it doesn't go off. Let's see what time it is, because I am on call. How long am I into this thing? 48 minutes. I am on call, so my fear was that I was going to have to shut this down right in the middle if I get on call. Because when I'm on call, it's usually a person that's being released from the hospital. They have to have an oxygen concentrator. It's called an O2 setup. So I have to go to their house and set that machine up so they have a breathing machine when they get home. So that could happen at any time when you're on call. I only do it I do it once a week. I do it 1 week. Another driver does another week. Another driver. So it's in a rotation. So thankfully, I haven't got a call yet, so which is nice. I had calls on Thursday and Friday, just not tonight. And that's why I do like the job, is the fact that it's in a situation where you're able to help people. You get to help people. So that's a huge bonus. When, again, I get to go to work, I have the opportunity to help and witness. You don't get that, and you get to show them who you are by your work ethic, by how you are, your interaction. Brother Jorge, I have really monopolized this conversation tonight. But this is how I want to be, not me talking. And Lord willing, some other folks will tune in from time to time. I'm not looking for 100 people to watch. I'm not worried about that. But we are supposed to come together in different ways. I think in person would be nice. And like I say all the time in my videos now, well, not like I say it all the time, but if you're watching this and if you're in Eastern Tennessee, you can email me. And if you're a Christian, I'll meet up with you and have a conversation, because that is fellowship. That is a form of fellowship. This is a slight form of fellowship also. This is a form of fellowship. My fear is that too many people rely on this only and never try to seek outside of this, which one should do if they can. It's not always easy. I know some people live in some rural areas where it's a little more complicated, but I think this can be a tool, like anything else, to have a certain level of fellowship and exhortation. I talk about that because I think a lot of people in these days, just even though they trust God and they have faith, they have those moments where they're feeling a little off. Maybe they're not feeling well. Maybe they're not sure they did something right or not. Maybe they could have made a better decision on something. Well, that's what we're supposed to be here for, as brothers and sisters, to lift each other up and to help us through those times. It's rather important. I think tomorrow's the study I got that's coming out tomorrow is a call to kindness and humility. I feel sometimes it's been forgotten. I mean, I attacked the week before the slothful man, but this week I wanted to talk about kindness and humility, so I'll be talking about that in tomorrow's upload will be up tomorrow. I think I've already got it scheduled to go up tomorrow. There's a lot of kindness missing, a lot of humility missing among Christians. But what's not missing is braggadociousness, pridefulness, arrogance, narcissism. It's unfortunately rearing its ugly head. But that's how you know we're in the end days, huh? We're in end times when all these people are coming. And you got heretics calling other people heretics. Kind of reminds me of Saul Alinsky, the famous racial situation, race. I think he's a racist from the 70s, 60s. Um, he said, if you call a racist, if you call someone else a racist while you're a racist, you're not a racist anymore. You take it off of you. So you take who you are, you blame that person for that exact same thing, and then they look at that person. It's a shame. It's sad. It really is. It's unfortunate that we're in those times. But there's still a few folks out there that do still exist, that are still trying to follow the Bible, who are still trying to live the life that you're supposed to live every day and not get sucked into the vortex of hate and bitterness and malice and selfishness and narcissism and precociousness and pridefulness. It's all around us. I think I'm almost an hour in, brother. So I think I should come close to wrapping it up. I keep thinking that phone is going to ring, and it's going to be the call center saying, "You gotta go out to Ray Medical Center," which is an hour away from me, which is funny. All the on calls we get are like, for me, from where I live, it's like an hour. It's an hour away, so I'd have to drive an hour that way, an hour back. I remember one night I got home at 1:00 in the morning, but thankfully it was a weekend, so I didn't have to go to work the next morning, so that was good. So, but that's all I got to say tonight, even though I did all the talking there. But, well, no, Brother Jorge threw up Matthew, which I was very happy for. And I do still get a little bit of silver, I get a little constitutional, got like a couple pieces there. Try to get a little at a time. And that's another thing, just a little at a time. When you're preparing, a little is better than nothing at all. If you had, let's say you only had this one piece of silver you bought, right? Well, that's one more than someone else didn't go and get to help you get through the times. A little stockpile of food doesn't even have to be much. Extra can of green beans or an extra can of carrots. You can get something pretty cheap. You don't have to get name brands. You can get them pretty cheap. I heard Dollar Tree sells canned meat. I don't know if I'd get it from Dollar Tree, but I'm just saying, they got them in different places. You can get little vegetables, little fruit cocktail things for like 69 cents. That's some of these places. So, I mean, but the most important thing, no matter what you're doing in preparation, whether, like I said before, whether it be silver and stuff like that, constitutional gold, platinum, whatever it may be, food storage, all that, without God, it's all not. It's all for naught. It means nothing. Without salvation, it doesn't matter what food you're prepping because you're going to hell. If you're not saved and you're prepping, you're still going to hell. Unless you want softer Sheol, or if it makes you feel better, Hades. But you're going to hell. That's the fact of the matter. You can prep all you want, and which we try here. We have chickens. We have the garden. Each year the garden gets a little bit bigger, but we keep working on that. We got to work on our water storage tanks. And people say, "See, wait a minute, you don't have faith." No, I do have faith in God, but I also know God wants us to be a diligent people and to be prepared for things, not to sit around on the couch eating bonbons, sitting all inside on a computer screen getting all pasty faced. It's not what God wants us to do. But without God, without being saved, if you're not born again, if you have no salvation, I don't care what you have for gold and silver. I don't care. I don't care what you have. It does not matter. It absolutely means nothing. Zero. Zilch. How many different words can we use to describe it? That means nothing. Zero. Zero without God. If my number one priority is God, if I'm not putting God first, then none of this matters. None of it. Weird for a prepper to say, isn't it? But it's true. It means nothing. Fill the table up with food. 25-year storage shelf life food, silver, gold, platinum, ammunition, shotguns, rifles, hunting gear. But you're not saved. You're not born again. And you're going to hell. So I think right now would be the time that you say the sinner's prayer. I'm just kidding. There's no sinner's prayer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw a joke in there, but this is the time that you turn. You said, Jesus, I need you, man. That's what I did. I got nothing. I got no answers. I got nothing. My youngest son, I don't believe he's saved. No offense. My wife will disagree with me. He was 8. He's 9 now. And he wanted to be born again. And I said, okay. And I foster that, and I'm all in. And I asked him, I took him to my pod shed. I call this the pod shed. I says, and I talked to him for a bit, and I says, okay, so why do you want to be saved? And I'm not kidding. This is the exact answer. Because I don't want to go to hell. I'm like, that's a pretty good answer. Kids are usually pretty straightforward and honest. I said, that's a pretty good reason. And so I prayed with them, and, I said, you got to mean it from your heart. You can't just say words and the words automatically make it happen. You have to mean it here. And he said he did, but you're 9. Some will say, that's an age accountability. If they do any sin, they can go to hell. They can go to hell. Yeah. I'm like, that usually comes from people who don't have children. Understand what the age of accountability would be. Like elders, there's not an age number. There's a level of understanding and maturity to know what you're doing, to know what salvation is, to know all that. If you don't know, then how can you be? So that's how I feel on that one. That's where I'm at that one. I think another thing we need to do is resolve issues. People don't want to resolve issues anymore. They just want to fight about everything. They want to create problems. I'll leave you with this last story. My 2 boys, I heard yelling outside. I think Alex yelled, "Knock it off" or something. So I opened the door, and they both stood like stopped like in their tracks, because Dad just looked out the door. It's like, oh no, if you're a guy, so you grew up as a boy, and when your dad turns around, looks at you for any reason, you're like, do. I didn't do nothing. I didn't do anything. You get worried and scared. So I asked them what was going on, and they explained to me what was going on. And I said, well, we need to resolve the issue. I said, before we get back to doing what you're doing, you both have to sit down. You need to sit down and talk about it. Figure out what the problems are. Figure out how you can fix them. Get on the same page and move forward and resolve the issue. Which a couple hours later, when I went over to when I went in for supper, they resolved the issue. They kind of understood each other and understood what the other was doing. They thought one was doing something that he wasn't doing. The other thought the other was doing something he wasn't doing, but they resolved the problem. So, all right, with that, Brother Jorge, I'm glad you were here this evening. I'm thankful for that. I don't care if it's just you and I and Prov Gal and maybe 1 or 2 other people. It's not about the numbers of fellowship. It's about the fellowship itself. So with that, it's great to see you here, Prov Gal, Jorge. Thanks for tuning in. I'm grateful and thankful. And I will leave this channel with this, or this video today with this. If anybody else is watching down the road or tunes in, I appreciate your time and watching. Feel free to email me at any time, except for 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to answer it. That was a joke. All right, with that, hey, thank you for everything. And I'm gonna, as I always awkwardly do, I try to hit the end stream button over here, so I'll do that. God bless, and good night.